obviously you knew somewhere inside yourself that you were destined to be famous, because I think it's really a marvelous thing, that visualization thing you did. Do y'all read about this or hear this? That you used to go up on Mulholland Drive and park
every night
and visualize seeing yourself as...
Yeah, I would visualize,
This is when you were broke and poor.
You know, right, having directors interested in me and people that I respected saying, you know, I like your work or whatever that is. And I would visualize things coming to me that I wanted or whatever.
This was in like 1987, 85?
Yeah. And I had nothing at that time, so it was like, but it just made me feel better. It made me, at that time, all it really was for me was kind of making me feel better. I would drive home and think, well, I do have these things, and they're out there. I just don't have a hold of them yet, but they're out there.
Okay, so you would get this from what, self-help books or whatever?
Yeah, self-help section.
Self-help section.
They've renamed it the Jim Carrey wing.
So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that you did. Is that true?
I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years, or 3 years maybe, and I dated it Thanksgiving 1995, and I put it in my wallet, and I kept it there, and it deteriorated and stuff, but then just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million on, I think it was Dumb and Dumber, maybe.
Dumb and Dumber, yeah. So you visualize yourself like... Visualization works if you work hard.
Well, that's the thing. You can't just visualize and then, you know, go eat a sandwich.
Total believer, yeah. I believe in manifestation. I believe in putting a rocket of desire out into the universe, and you get it when you believe it. You get it when you believe you have it, and that's the key. Is like people still, they sit around going, when's it going to come, 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 and that's the wrong way. You're facing the wrong way, you're facing away from it. You have to go, it's here, it's here, it's here.
Finally, I pray that you put your slippers way under the bed tonight, so that when you wake up in the morning, you have to get on your knees to reach them. And while you're down there, say thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for parents. Thank you for love. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for humility. Thank you for peace. Thank you for prosperity. Say thank you in advance for what's already yours. That's how I live my life. That's why I am, one of the reasons why I am today. Say thank you in advance for what is already yours. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already.
So I looked at him and I said, David, if you didn't pray for rain right now, what did you just do? And he said, when I closed my eyes, he said, I felt the feeling as if the rain has already happened. I felt the feeling of what it feels like, he said, to stand in my Pueblo village with my naked feet in the mud. And the mud is there because there's been so much rain. He said, I smelled the smells of what it smells like when the rain rolls off the earthen walls of our Pueblo homes. He said, I felt the feeling of what it feels like when I walk through the fields of corn that are this high against my naked chest, and they're this high because there's been so much rain. He said, I felt the feeling of what it feels like when my prayer is already answered. And then I gave thanks for what has already happened. He said, in those few seconds, I felt the feelings and I gave thanks for the rain that has already occurred. This is a very, very powerful story to me, and it illustrates a quantum principle, because there is a huge difference between working toward an outcome and beginning as if the outcome is already present. I invite you to think about that. Well, we went into the nearest town, Taos, New Mexico. We had lunch that day. And by the time I came back onto my property later that afternoon, something began to happen that we had not seen for a very long time. Big black clouds were rolling in over the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. And it started to rain that afternoon. And it rained and rained and rained. It rained all afternoon. It rained all night. It rained all the next morning. It was a mess. There was so much rain. The roads were flooded. The fields were flooded. Cattle were stranded. Crops that remained were ruined because the ground had been so dry it couldn't accept all the rain. And I called my friend David on the phone. And I said, David, this is a mess. I said, what in the world is going on? I said, it has rained since I saw you yesterday afternoon. It hasn't stopped. And he was quiet just for a moment. And then he said to me on the phone, he said, Greg, that's the part of the prayer that the elders could never describe to me. They couldn't tell me how to stop the rain. They told me how to get it started, but I never learned how much to make and when to tell it to stop. So I'm sharing this story now for a couple of reasons. And one of those reasons is because I cannot say to you as a scientist, I cannot prove as a scientist that David's prayer had anything to do with the rain that happened. I have to say that there is a high correlation between the time that prayer was offered and when the rain happened, a rain that had not happened in that way for 5 years previous. We have to say as a scientist, there's a high correlation because science is not at the place yet where they can embrace the mechanism, the cause, and the effect. Well, I watched the news that night. In that part of New Mexico, we're able to pull in the TV stations from parts of Colorado, southern Colorado, and parts of northern New Mexico. I remember the weatherman on the Colorado station, and he showed the weather map, and he showed a low-pressure system coming across northern Colorado, and right about the time of Denver, this low-pressure system dropped and made a loop right around northern New Mexico where we were and came right back up, and that low pressure is what brought the rain. Now, I remember the weatherman. He stepped back and he looked at that very unusual looking pattern where the pressure system just dropped. And all he said was, huh. That was all he said, because he couldn't explain what was happening.